Internet, hello and welcome to another episode of Koi Cubed. I hope you're all doing very, very well. It is the first week after WandaVision. WandaVision kicked off with episodes 1 and 2 on Friday. As it's Tuesday, today we're going to get into WandaVision with some light spoilers. Now, that means in future weeks I might push WandaVision to later in the show, but being that the biggest news is the kickoff of Phase 4, when we do start the show, it is going to kick off with some spoilers for WandaVision, but I will time code for viewers watching this later what the rest of the news is going to be, so you can skip ahead past the spoilers if you have not watched WandaVision yet. We're also going to talk about Matt Damon, potentially, probably, in Thor 4. We're going to talk about those Captain America rumors. We're going to talk about the SnyderCut apparently being back to being a movie. We're going to talk about James Gunn being much more productive when he's bored than we are by making an entire series for John Cena that it's already filming. We're going to talk about maybe the best animated series of all time, potentially getting a sequel on HBO Max. All of that on today's Koi Cubed. Here's where graphics would be. That'd be fun, like a cold open and then like cha-cha-cha. One day, I'll learn OBS and YouTube enough to have like cha-cha graphics and stuff. But for now, cold open, and then just me talking some more. Here we are. This is Koi Cubed. All right, the beginning of the news I want to dive into today is, of course, WandaVision. Now, WandaVision is essential for what the future of the MCU is. It is the first show that's going to deal with multiverse. It is the first show in the MCU that's going to be MCU canon. All of you Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, no disrespect to you whatsoever. It's just this is the first one to tie integrally into the MCU. It's also the kickoff of Phase 4 in general. Now, it's interesting to think about how things would have gone. If COVID hadn't happened, it would have gone from Avengers Endgame straight into Endgame's denouement with Spider-Man Far From Home, which was as much a mourning for Tony Stark and that kind of post-Endgame feel as anything else. That's where we found out about the blip. That's where we saw ramifications of the blip. And then we would have had a flashback movie with Black Widow. So it would have gone Spider-Man, end of Phase 4, into Phase 3, beginning of Phase 4, into Black Widow, which would have been a flashback. And then we would have had the Eternals, which was our cosmic expansion, all before we got to WandaVision. Now, the TV shows have also rescheduled their order a bit. It is fascinating to think about how things look now, but according to Kevin Feige, none of this has been to the detriment of Phase 4 storyline-wise, and I do think Black Widow might tie into Loki in some way, since it looks like Loki has Black Widow in the trailer, not confirmed, but I think it'll be interesting if those come out around the same time this year at home and in theaters, if those do in fact coincide so directly. All of this to say, I really like that WandaVision being this insane is perfect for Phase 4. I can't imagine a better way to kick off Phase 4 than the show that's ultimately going to kick off what the explosion into the madness of the multiverse is. We've already seen episodes 1 and 2. It is the strangest, boldest, bravest, one of the more interesting things out of Marvel we've had yet. It is certainly not as formulaic as some people complain Marvel is, and it's leading to what's going to cause the madness of the multiverse in Doctor Strange, which I imagine is going to cause the multiverse in Spider-Man 3, which I imagine is going to have impacts in everything. So I think it's very appropriate that WandaVision is the first thing out of the gate for Phase 4. Now let's talk about WandaVision, the show itself. The first 2 episodes deal with the 50s and 60s via the Dick Van Dyke Show, via Bewitched. I've seen people complaining that the house changed from the pilot to the second episode, and those people didn't realize it went from the Dick Van Dyke house to the Bewitched house in little nods and subtleties. The first episode, the east side of the house, is almost entirely a recreation of the Dick Van Dyke house. The next episode is obviously Bewitched base, as is the house, as we saw with the opening credits, the animation, all of those things. There's lots of references to the time period and the evolution of the time period. Now, what I think the show is a psychological study of trauma to a character we know and love, Scarlet Witch, and how she handles that with a coping mechanism that is idolizing an idealized time a la Americana and television from these idealized times. sitcoms from the 50s and 60s didn't deal with the ramifications of real-world events. They didn't deal with trauma of things that were actually going on. So it makes sense that if you're trying to cope and if you're trying to heal your mind, that is what TV then was largely. It was escapism, it was freedom, it was the biggest problem is the boss is coming over for dinner. What better way to escape your own trauma than put yourself into TV? That's what a lot of people use TV for to this day. Quarantine, we're actually living this age of golden age of television again by escapism through TV in a much larger scale than ever before. So it's really cool that Wanda, I think, is coping by going through these scenarios in her head. I don't think that Vision is necessarily alive. I do think now, after the first episode, that Vision might come out of this alive. There's a calendar in the second episode. First episode. It's hard because I watched them both back to back twice. I watched them in the morning to watch it before I was spoiled, then I watched it at night because I prefer to watch things at night with, darkness. But in the episode of the calendar, the date is the 23rd. The heart is on the 23rd of August. Now, in many countries, they do the day, then month. So, 23rd of August is 238. Avengers 238 is the return of Vision in a different form, in a bolder form, in a self-actualized sense, and Monica Rambeau's on the cover. So the cover is Vision of Monica Rambeau. Monica Rambeau is in episode 2 of this show. We know Spectrum / Monica Rambeau is going to be a big part of the show, so that leads me to think that Avengers 238, not a coincidence. We also have the helicopter in the second episode with color, the yellow and red of seemingly Iron Man crashing into the bush, the only splash of color we get. Was that first or second episode? Now I can't remember shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That has a 57 on it, which is, of course, Vision's first appearance ever. Ultron appeared in Avengers 55. Vision appeared on the cover and inside Avengers 57 a mere 2 issues later. So we're already seeing that numerology and those Easter eggs are essential. It would not surprise me if the calendar is that 238, which I theorized is, about the Vision coming back. So I could see us ending WandaVision where Vision had died. That was the trauma Wanda was coping with, and that causing Vision to be reborn in some way. I wonder if her children will be the same. I wonder if we get, Speedster and Wiccan. I do think we're going to need them for the Young Avengers. I do think the Young Avengers is the next big thing out of Marvel. I think the Young Avengers on TV is going to be huge. We are getting the children of Wanda and Vision in this show. Confirmed. That's happening. Whether or not it goes to the storyline in the Tom King Vision comic or to the House of M storyline is yet to be determined, but either way, they're not real in either of those. In the Vision comic by Tom King, there's an issue where he confronts her about the children not being real. In House of M, the realization the children aren't real causes a psychotic break in Scarlet Witch, which I could see happening with Vision and the children in the show, as I think all of this is in her mind. Now, I think all of this is in her mind in the sense that either she's trapped out of her own control, some sort of trauma, some sort of fugue state, or she's been put into this state by Sword, or perhaps by Doctor Strange. Because I think Doctor Strange is going to be the antagonist only because Scarlet Witch is going to become the antagonist of Doctor Strange 2 after the events of this series, is my theory. So I'm wondering if Doctor Strange has her under in some way throughout the show, and Sword is trying to get through to her mind, as is my big theory. We have Agatha Harkness, all but confirmed. Agnes, played geniusly by Kathryn Hahn, is a character we've already met. She's lovely. She's going to get lots of Emmys. She's incredible. I think perhaps Emma Caulfield is playing Mephisto. Emma Caulfield plays a character named Dottie on the show, and Emma is much too strong and awesome an actress to just play a one-off character. I imagine Dottie is much more than she seems. Everything we know about Dottie is she's in control. She determines the rules and regulations of everything. Scarlet Witch listens to her and has an intimidation factor around her. And the big thing that makes me think she's Mephisto is when she says the devil is in the details, Kathryn Hahn responds with, that's not the only place he is, or something like that. She says the devil's in the details, Kathryn Hahn responds with something quippy about that's not the only place he is. I think Mephisto might be Dottie. I think Emma might be playing Mephisto. And I think the devil, him or herself, is also fighting for control of Scarlet Witch as Sword is trying to get through to her Whether or not that's her out of control or under some sort of spell is yet to be determined, but I think those are the two forces at play. Sword has obviously been very much alluded to throughout this series. The end of the episode 1, we see the zoom out from the TV, the logo's there, it's on the notebook, lots of places, it's on the helicopter, it's also on the back of the Beekeeper suit. The Beekeeper, to me, represents AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics. They dress like yellow beekeepers. It's a running joke in the comic books. What if AIM in this world is a government entity a la Sword, whether they're villainous or heroic, yet to be determined. The Skrulls we saw be a bit, heroically swapped in Captain Marvel. I could see them doing something similar with AIM. I do think the Beekeeper represents AIM, even with the Sword logo on his back. So that's a lot of people's big mystery, is the Beekeeper. I think it represents AIM as well as Sword. Now, the biggest thing about the show, and it being a dream, a hallucination, a coping mechanism, a fugue state, is I think the commercials are the only thing that are real. I think that the thing that is our reality, the MCU reality, is the commercial break. So a psychotic break, a commercial break, a lot of fun there. I think that the first commercial being Stark Tech, Stark was the thing that she saw while trapped with her brother for days on end while she starved, waiting for that bomb to explode. I imagine that is the first commercial, is Stark. We hear the repulsor, we hear all these things. I think Stark Tech is the world intruding. I also think the other person she spent a lot of time with, Baron Strucker, is obviously the second episode's commercial, the He'll Make Time for You watch. Time obviously being a lot of time spent with Baron Strucker. She was, trapped in that program during Ultron. Lots of stuff going on with Strucker, and Hydra is obviously on the watch as well. So all of these things make me think that the real world is part of the commercial breaks, and I think in the third or fourth episode we're gonna get a Pietro commercial. I think we're going to find other cameos from Marvel characters in commercials, but I definitely think Pietro. I think the real world crashing in is going to be happening due to commercials. So that's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be cool to see Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver again, if my theory is correct. So I think the voice is Randall Park. Randall Park is known to be on the show. I think he got promoted from the FBI agent in Ant-Man to being a Sword agent. I think that's the voice that's trying to get through the radio. Like I said, the commercials are memories. What other notes did I take? Is Dottie Mephistopheles? I think, yeah, Mephisto is Dottie. Holy shit, Catherine Hahn I wrote. Sword Beekeeper. Oh, and last thought I had, I remembered most of my notes. I didn't even need these. Is Sokovia going to introduce the concept, maybe not Doom himself, but what if the Sokovia situation introduces the concept of Latveria and Doom? What if Doom is in any way referenced through all of the stuff we're going to get with Sokovia? I love the first episode with her, negligee being a Sokovian outfit. I love that we're bringing that all back in. I think we're going to find out some accent stuff. I think they're going to reference the fact that she doesn't have an accent anymore. All of this is going to come to play. I'm just wondering if Sokovia is going to be perhaps a way to introduce the glory that is Doctor Doom. So those are just some of my theories from the first couple episodes. I've seen as much as you guys have. I'm very excited for Friday's episode. These are my thoughts with a couple days of marinating. That said, if you guys want to know my thoughts immediately after WandaVision, as soon as I'm finished with the episode, I'm going to go on Instagram Live. I did it this last episode, and it was so much fun to just dive into initial thoughts. So check out my IGTV, my Instagram Live. I'm going to go live after every episode throughout the duration of the show and have my immediate thoughts, my theories, my concepts. So Fridays, expect an Instagram Live. Follow me on Instagram. The IGTV is going to be a WandaVision channel for the next 9 weeks or so. And if it does well, I'll keep doing that for Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, so on and so forth. I'm also starting a TikTok. I didn't think I wanted to do more social media. I wanted to do less, but TikTok, I do see the merits in it. So I'm going to be doing some comic reviews as well as some movie reviews and first thoughts of stuff on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, look up my name and let me know what kind of things you want to see on TikTok. The idea of learning a new social media is intimidating, but I do want to reach more and more people with comic book awareness, and getting people to read stuff is my goal. So TikTok's an entirely new market. That is the plan. I got a Streamlab from Jesus. Jesus says, I like the commercials, love the tie-ins with which two people who essentially ruin Wanda's life. Stark's Toastmate 2000 and Strucker's watch. Exactly, good sir, exactly. That's why I'm wondering if they're going to stay people that ruined her life, or if they're going to turn into, you know, people that impacted her life. That's why I think her brother might show up. I think that'd be a cool way to have a cameo. I think it might be a more pleasant dream, but I do think the commercials are people that are essential to her life, trying to get through to her through her subconscious. That's what I think those commercials are as well, and I'm very glad you enjoyed those commercials, good Sir Jesus. All right, moving on to more news. That is all the WandaVision stuff, so we are now 15 minutes in. End of those theories. So spoilers are over. We're going to be diving into the rest of the news as we go along now. Let me know what you guys think of my theories in the comments, and every week, obviously, as the show evolves, my theories will evolve. But I think Emma is Mephisto, and I think it's going to be crazy, and I think no one could have predicted that, but I think she's the devil. Okay, moving on. Now we're actually done with spoilers. My bad. All right, in the news today, just broke right before air, Batman the Animated Series. Arguably, it's my favorite animated show of all time. I would say anyone would agree it's in the top. It's one of the GOATs. Batman the Animated Series is genius. It is a consistently solid representation, not just of Batman, but of Gotham, of the Joker. It gave us Harley Quinn. It is a genius bit of television. It holds up all these years later. The animation style holds up, the storyline holds up, the writing holds up. It's genius, it's perfect. It also gave us fucking hours of content and led to Batman Beyond in its own way. It gave us a lot of classic storylines that are referenced in the comics to this day. It's one of the rare things that was adapting comics that led to the comics adapting it. Batman the Animated Series is what it is for a lot of reasons. That show is potentially, rumor has it, getting a sequel on HBO Max. Now that makes a lot of sense. It just dropped on HBO Max. It did extremely well. I own it on Blu-ray because I want the quality of not streaming. I want that 4K gorgeousness on my TV. That said, I know it's one of the most beloved shows of all time. What a perfect time and what a perfect place, HBO Max, to bring back that show. You bring back Bruce Timm, you bring back the right people and make the show sing, and you could have another hit in your hands, and we could use another more adult animated show like Batman the Animated Series. That is potentially getting a sequel over on HBO Max. I will keep you guys posted with details as they develop. Still a rumor as of now, still not confirmed, but HBO Max is hungry for content. They're clearly in the Bat business. They're clearly in the DC business because of, you know, who they're owned by, but they're also, you know, the SnyderCut and all those things. And they don't have a lot of new original animation, so Batman the Animated Series, perfect timing. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I really, honestly, I hope it comes to fruition. I'm really excited about that idea. One more Streamlab from Jesus. Here's a theory for you. What if the country of Sokovia, the people have mutant genes lay dormant, and Wanda taps into that and says mutants at the end of the show? So I have, for quite some time, been saying they were going to M of House this show. So I theorize, this is not a spoiler because I don't know if it's true. I've been saying they're going to M of House, which is going to be the reverse House of M. And instead of saying no more mutants, she says mutants, which causes the X gene to activate all through the multiverses. That theory was, I don't know, 6 years old. I talked about it on an episode of Movie Fights, back when Movie Fights was all the time, and people dug it. Now, what I think might happen isn't that necessarily the X genes activate in our world, but she might do something that causes a multiverse where the mutants are already active to intersect with hers. So I still think she might be the cause of mutants in some way, but I think that mutants are bigger than just Sokovia. So I love your theory, and I think we're both on the same page, but I think it's going to be a lot bigger. I think it's going to be multiversal. I think it's going to be her bringing in a multiverse, and in some way that causes mutants to be part of our world and X genes to be activated on our world or something like that. So very excited for any of those things to come forth, and time will tell, because that show is weekly, which makes me very happy. Also, for the record, I think that show's pacing is excellent. I also think that people are super quick to judge shit and fail to see what the show is. It's a mystery. If you know too much at the beginning of a mystery, you're missing the point. And also, weekly means we have these conversations instead of just it being over and having 5 hours. We'll talk about it for 2 weeks and then it's gone, or we can talk about it throughout. Having the water cooler conversations is vital. I love that Watchmen was weekly. I love that this is weekly. I love dissecting stuff. So personally, thank you, Marvel. I think you made the absolute right decision with that show, and I'm excited for 8 weeks from now to know if myself and Jesus are right about mutants being part of this because of Wanda. All right, over to casting this week. Not only did we find out that Matt Damon is potentially in Thor, but we also found out that Ethan Hawke might be probably in Moon Knight. Let's talk about Matt Damon first. Now, Matt Damon is very good friends with Chris Hemsworth. They're homies. He just did a movie with Christian Bale, Ford versus Ferrari, an exceptional film. And he does not want to be trapped in America right now. I don't blame him. I'd go to Australia in a heartbeat. Those three things, I think, equated to Matt Damon agreeing to, and obviously Taika, everybody wants to work with Taika Waititi, to being like, yeah, I'll do a superhero movie. Matt Damon has done a bunch of fun cameos in superhero films. He's in, Deadpool 2 as the pot-bellied guy talking about wiping his ass. He's in Thor as Loki, the actor playing Loki in Ragnarok. I think he's a more substantial role in Thor 4 because the announcement came with him saying, I'm looking forward to living in Australia for a few months. And I think he's going to be someone fun. I think it's a very good time character. A lot of people are saying Beta Ray Bill. I don't think Matt Damon necessarily wants to play another Jason Bourne action character. I could be totally wrong. I want him to be Throg. I want him to be the voice of a frog Thor myself. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's what I hope. I could see him as Beta Ray Bill. I don't necessarily think that's what I would equate as Beta Ray Bill. I think Beta Ray Bale would have been exceptional. That said, I'm very excited for Bale as Gore the God Butcher, but I don't know if Beta Ray Bill, Matt Damon is exactly what I see. Either way, a Boston boy is filming Thor 4, which makes me very excited, and I want him to be Throg. I want to see, and if anyone is going to put a horse god as someone wielding a hammer and put a frog as Thor in a movie, it is goddamn Taika. So now's the time for Throg. Now's the time for weird shit. Make Matt Damon weird. Do awesome weird Matt Damon. Make this man a frog. This man needs to be a frog. Make it so, Taika. Throg. Matt Damon for Throg. All right. That is the news about Matt Damon in Thor 4. Not totally confirmed, but all but confirmed. He's going to Australia, seemingly for Thor 4. I'm thrilled. And that movie's got, the Guardians of the Galaxy in it. They're already over there in Australia. They're billing it as a soft Avengers 5 because it's going to be all of this new Thor stuff plus the Guardians. There's a lot of ramp up. I'm thrilled that the Asgardians of the Galaxy is kind of happening, as well as the insanity of, an Avengers 5 in its own way. So very, very hopeful. That said, Ethan Hawke, on the other hand, playing the villain we theorize in Moon Knight is also very exciting. Now, I think of the villain of Moon Knight as being Khonshu or, some of the gods that, he fights while representing the god of the moon and those things. And I don't know if Ethan Hawke as the voice of a giant bird skull works for me, but I don't think it doesn't. I think I really like this, late era Ethan Hawke, big beard craziness so much. I'll see him as anything. I'm a big fan of Ethan Hawke. The Before trilogy is some of the best work I've ever seen. Linklater's genius in it. He's the director, and he's genius in Linklater's work. Ethan Hawke is the guy of the 90s, Reality Bites. He changed film, and he's one of the best actors in the game. Whatever he wants to do in Moon Knight, I'm excited for. That said, I don't know who he's playing. He's apparently the villain. That could be a series of characters. Oscar Isaac acting his eyeballs out opposite Ethan Hawke is an exceptional concept. I'm very excited. I wanted him to play the millionaire, playboy, sometimes actor persona within Oscar Isaac's head. That would be fun if Ethan Hawke played an actor concept as an iconic actor. That would be fun. But this also works. I don't know if my whole thing about multiple actors playing, the personalities of the character is going to be what actually happens. I don't know if that's actually going to go down. What I do know is that the cast they're assembling is genius, and a couple of my buddies are directing a couple of the episodes. That's super exciting. My buddies Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, who've done truly insane work like Spring. They've got a movie with Anthony Mackie coming out right now. I think it just came out on digital. These guys are impossibly talented directors. Spring is my favorite of theirs. It's got my buddy Lou in it. But they're really great at the metaphysical, weird, time warpy shit that Moon Knight needs to be. So check out Justin and Aaron's work. Check out Spring, check out any of their films and see the kind of shape of what they do. And that'll give you some idea of what Moon Knight's coming. And now that we know Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac, plus the weird style, we're in for a great ride of Moon Knight, and I'm very, very excited. And I think Moon Knight has the potential to be one of the great shows, and the cast they're assembling, clearly the writing's good, clearly their pitch is strong. We're going to get something really special really soon, and I'm thrilled. Jesus, also Ethan Hawke, is an amazing choice for the role of Bushman. Ooh, that's an interesting idea, good sir, especially with his new manic flavored acting. I like that. Good call. Bushman, which also makes his debut in Moon Knight #1, 1980, which I have in a high grade. Good for you, sir. Let's moment for the Moon Knight #1 is a great book. I am jealous. And that is a great call with Bushman. I love that idea. That is the 1980 #1. Moon Knight's had a lot of #1s, but the 1980 series, one that kicked off in 1980, that is the first appearance of Bushman, which good Sir Jesus owns, which I'm very jealous about. We got Hitman Hudson. So, are there any good comics where sports are a major part of the story? I'm a huge sports fan as well as comics fan, and I'm curious. Maybe an indie comic, a run on Cyborg, perhaps? I mean, the X-Men play a lot of baseball. There was a time when the, like, XFL did some comics. They weren't good, though. Shit. It's hard to translate the rush of adrenaline of comic books of sports in a comic book. Like, the narrative doesn't really suit that rush. Like, sports movies are really good when you feel like you're playing the sport or you're invested in the game. That's really hard to do, in my opinion, in a comic book. I have to think about that. I can't think of very many good sports-based comic books, honestly. None are coming to mind, and I know a lot of comic books, so I'm sorry, Hitman. I cannot think of anything off the top of my head. Hitman also says, anyone else convinced that WandaVision is stuck inside wherever she is as a plot to steal her children with Vision, and that the jumping through decades is setting up Wanda having adult children by the end of the series? Ooh, having adult children at the end of the series. I've never thought of that. I think the Young Avengers are what these kids are leading to, so I personally don't think they're going to be adult. I do think they're going to be, like, 15. So I do like your decade idea to age them. Like, they're born, just like she went from not pregnant to, like, 4 or 5 months pregnant, however pregnant she was. Aging them through the decades is really fun. I like that idea. Maybe that's how we get them to the age where the Young Avengers can happen sooner than later. That's a cool idea, man. Great call, Hitman Hudson. Scott Welsh, been meaning to set this up sooner so I can send support. Dude, thank you. And by the way, Streamlabs go directly to me, whereas the YouTube Super Chats go through YouTube and they take a cut. So Streamlabs is always better, so thank you for setting up a Streamlabs. That, it means a lot, and I really appreciate you. Thanks for all the amazing comic knowledge over the years. I grew up watching Nick at Night, so I absolutely loved every second of WandaVision. Elizabeth Olsen acting was fantastic. I completely agree, both with the Nick at Night and with Elizabeth Olsen killing it. Lizzie is capturing that flavor of the time, as is Paul Bettany. They're both just doing such a great job. Liz Olsen is Scarlet Witch. It has been amazing to experience. I definitely think that what they've accomplished already is so impressive. I can't wait to see it evolve through the decades. I think the show is going to blow minds. It already is, but when we watch it as a whole, it's going to be even more insane after we've dissected the mystery. I'm so excited for it, and Nick at Night was a great way for you to learn all these classic references. Nick at Night was also my shit. Thank you for the Streamlab, and thank you for the kind words. I'm so glad I could help you find comic books that you enjoy and bestow that knowledge, and I'm really digging the show as well, so hell yeah. I also saw I can't read the chat because it's in a Diva light, which is bright through my phone, but I saw the word David. David Diggs is going to be exceptional on this show. That guy is one of the best actors working. If you haven't seen Blind Spotting, I sing its praises all the time. More people need to see Blind Spotting. Obviously, people know him from Hamilton. He's also on Snowpiercer, there's the word. He's also on Snowpiercer. He's a genius, and I think he's going to be great. I think he and Nick Kroll are definitely personalities of Oscar Isaac. A lot of people gave me shit. To me, that's 100% who they are. He could definitely be the Stephen Grant character. Nick Kroll, I don't know if they'll make him like a cartoonish Frenchman, but maybe. I think those guys are voices in his head, and they'll also be physical manifestations as well, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. So, all right, moving along to the next bit of news. Thank everyone so far for the Streamlabs. I'm going to check those in between all the news stories. You guys are amazing. All right, over to the news. The Boys, Season 3 is apparently Herogasm. This is very exciting news. Herogasm is in a comic book series known for fucked up moments, one of the most fucked up series in the series, one of the most crazy arcs. It's called Herogasm, so you can guess how perverse it is. It is going to be pushing the limits of TVMA. It's going to be perverse, fucked up, sexual, brutal, violent, everything The Boys is. So if you're adding Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, to Herogasm, we're going to have a great fucking time in Season 3. It is apparently Season 3, Episode 6. It is called Herogasm. That's going to be well more than one episode, but that's the episode specifically, so we're going to get tones of that throughout the series. If you haven't read The Boys yet, Herogasm is a very dark place to start, but a fantastic place to just get a taste. I always say start at issue 1, but if you don't want to start there, Herogasm is glorious. It's a miniseries, kind of just askew of The Boys proper, and it's a weird time. Check it out. It's a lot. See what you think. Herogasm Season 3. Fuck yeah. All right. We talked about Ethan Hawke. Let's talk about Chris Evans. Now, there was a rumor that came out this past week that IGN, I think IGN started, that Chris Evans was in talks to resume playing Captain America. I very, very publicly and very quickly said I don't want that to happen. I think his arc is perfect. I think that if you bring him back in any way, it will undermine the power of that arc. I don't want to see him in a flashback. I don't want to see him in a multiverse. I don't want to see him as a Skrull. Chris Evans did amazing work as Cap, and if he comes back, it'll feel like his exit wasn't final. And I don't want Old Man Cap. The whole point of the Falcon Winter Soldier show is passing on the torch of Captain America. The torch. Passing the shield of Captain America. If we have Chris Evans come back, that negates the show's importance. I maybe in 10 years, something. I was worried when I heard Tony Stark popped up in Black Widow. I still don't know if that's true because I haven't seen Black Widow. But I don't want these beautiful arcs that we set up for 24 movies to be undermined by a cameo. I don't want to see Chris as a Skrull and then be like, well, he actually was gone. Like, I don't want an old man Cap trying to boss people around. I don't think it works. Obviously, Chris Evans loves the character, so he wouldn't do anything to undermine the character or the arc of this thing. His contract's up. He has no reason to come back. I don't want any of that to be the case. I joked, I've been serious about my Deadpool kills the Fox universe thing for years. I've been wanting the Deadpool 3 to be, I wanted Deadpool 2 to be Deadpool kills the Fox universe because that was already when they were talking about Fox winding up. I think the best way to introduce Deadpool into the MCU is to have him take out all of the Fox continuity, realize he's done that, and then fold himself into the MCU. That way he can break the fourth wall. That way he knows about all the X-Men. Like, he's already done that with Xavier, knowing that there's McAvoy and Stewart. Have him know that Chris Evans is Human Torch. Have him know that Michael B. Jordan is Human Torch. Have him kill the Fox universe. There's Deadpool Illustrated. There's Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. There is a precedent for Deadpool to do this. You get rid of all your Fox continuity, you fold Deadpool into your MCU, and you do it in a fan favorite way, and you have a really fun way for all these actors to come back. Have Nick Cage do some crazy Ghost Rider shit. Have whatever X-Men want to cameo. Have a giant $200 million Deadpool spectacle. Deadpool kills the Fox universe, and then that's how Human Torch, Zez, both are back. Michael B. Jordan, and not as Killmonger, and Chris Evans, not as Cap, reprise some roles, Deadpool murks them. Make it happen. Murk them. I don't want to see Chris back as Cap. I think it sacrifices the integrity of that arc, and I know that if he does it, it won't, because I trust Chris Evans. He's one of my Boston boys. I trust him, but I really personally, I hope that it has to be airtight. The only thing I can think of that I'd like to see is him returning the Infinity Stones and having the Red Skull interaction, all those things. But you could also do that in the What If show. You could also do that. I mean, it would be cool to see live action as a show, and it would be in between the times. So it would be sacrificing his goodbye. But I guess it's something. I don't want to see it. That's just me. You can want that. You can want him as a Skrull. You can want him in the multiverse. You can want him as Old Man Cap. You can want him to come back. That's completely. I have no judgment on you wanting that. Coy does not want that, and I love Captain America, and I love Chris Evans playing him. I just think it sacrifices way too perfect of an arc. And Chris came back and said, that's the first I've heard of it or something. He tweeted something, and that to me is, a disavowing of it. But we've had actors and, directors, tons of people have misled before for the sake of the MCU, so it could be a mislead. I don't know, but that's where the rumor stands as of the press time right now. Let's kick it over to Ben Affleck's thoughts about Kevin Feige and the MCU as a whole. Thought this was really cool. We've got Ben Affleck saying, quote, Kevin Feige, who is I have to say, the greatest producer, most successful producer who's ever lived. He's the only guy in the world who, if he told me, like, I know what the audience wants, that's what they're doing, that's what we're doing, I would believe him 100%. That fucker knows his audience like no producer. He's a genius. He's like a master ringmaster. He knows exactly how much to get the audience, exactly when to pull at the heartstrings, exactly when to do visual effects. How many jokes, what the sensibility, what the tone is, because people didn't know if they should run away from the pajamas or embrace it or make it serious. I love this quote. I love Ben Affleck, the human, the actor, and the director very much. This is all of those Ben Affleck's. He's a filmmaker, so he needs to see what tone to mesh. He's an actor. He needs to, see what producer he wants to work with. And as a consumer, he's talking about what works as a viewer of film. I really love this quote, and I also love that Ben Affleck took the time to praise the producer of Marvel content. I just thought this was great. As you guys know, he's one of my favorite directors. Big Ben Affleck fan, and I thought this was very kind of him to be like, yeah, fucking Feige's the man. All right, we got another Streamlab before we move on to the next bit of news. We got Scott Welsh saying, it translated, interesting. It was a $, now it's a CA sign. So Scott Welsh was in Canada, and it just moved. Hitman Hudson, do you think there's any chance Quicksilver shows up in WandaVision? Also, in my previous Streamlabs, I asked if Spidey Cat was your familiar, like with Felix Faust. What I meant is if Spidey Cat was your familiar, like Clary and the Witch Boy. My bad. I still don't know what those words mean. I don't know who Clarion the Witch Boy is or who Felix Faust is. Is that a literary reference or a comic book reference that I'm just not getting? I don't know if a familiar is. So I apologize. This sounds like it's a funny joke that I should get. Like, I get there's a joke here, but I'm missing it and I feel badly. That said, I do think Pietro pops up in the 3rd or 4th episode. I think we're going to see Aaron Taylor Johnson, Quicksilver, very soon. I think, it's from Young Justice. Oh shit, Hitman Hudson's right there. I can see you. It's from Young Justice. I guess I need to read more Young Justice. Nothing is coming to mind. Also, why I don't schmo down, because my rapid retention is garbage. So perhaps I do know these characters and have just failed you, and I apologize, Hitman Hudson. But to answer your question, I think we get the glory of Quicksilver as soon as next episode, or perhaps the 4th. I think he pops up in a commercial. I think he is part of the trauma of WandaVision, of Wanda's break, and I think that perhaps he might be the catalyst for her waking up because she realizes that he's actually dead. I think he's going to be a big part of something if he shows up. While I'm leaning forward, Sal says, Clarion and Felix Faust are major DC sorcerer villains, mostly going ahead Dr. Fate and yes, Young Justice. So yeah, I never got into I don't really like the magic side of Marvel or DC. I like Doctor Strange when he teams up with Spider-Man. I like Doctor Strange when he is like the Doctor by day. Like, I love the Mark Waid run because it was super approachable. I don't read a lot of the 60s Doctor Strange, and likewise Dr. Fate. The magic stuff just didn't appeal to me directly that much, so I did not know those characters. I apologize. But now your joke's funny, and I appreciate you. All right, back to the news. We've got Peacemaker. The show Peacemaker with John Cena is already filming, and we found out through a James Gunn Instagram post that show was conceived and written out of boredom. I love the idea that we somehow have a show that's already going that was written out of boredom in this quarantine. That is a very, very talented man. James Gunn is a oh shit, I see the name Evan Peters, that reminds me. Another way this could bring in the multiverse is Evan Peters from playing Quicksilver in the Fox universe is Quicksilver, as well as Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver, as soon as, episode 6 or 7. Like, what if we have both Quicksilvers that soon, Evan Peters and Aaron Taylor Johnson, as that could be amazing, and that could also be one of the ways she wakes up and realizes the multiverse and everything else. Like, we're about to go on a fucking ride. Like, this show's about to get psychedelic, because yes, Evan Peters is in this show. Time will tell if he's playing another character, but how amazing would it be if we have both Quicksilvers, and that ties it all together. Sorry, back to Peacemaker. This show, he said he wrote out of boredom because he was trapped in quarantine, so he thought of the idea while they had wrapped Suicide Squad, wrote a whole damn show, now they're on set. That is hustle. I'm not saying in quarantine you need to stress yourself out. I'm just saying that if you want to do the modern version of Beethoven writing a symphony, you are James Gunn writing a fucking masterpiece, directing one, editing it, and then writing another one while in quarantine. That goddamn genius. Very excited for Peacemaker, and he wrote it and conceived it while trapped at home. Also, rumor has it that the Snyder Cut is now a movie again. Now, HBO Max was very proud to tout it as a miniseries. Having it come out weekly was going to be very good for their bottom line. Having it come out and keep viewers engaged for 4 weeks over the 4 one-hour episodes was, I think, a big part of the pitch. I was always worried about editing that because shaping the tone of a show and shaping the tone of a 3-act movie are very different things. Keeping the climax high to wait for the next week is very different than keeping the climax high to go from one act to another act. Movies and shows are just formatted differently. He didn't film that much more. The word we heard was that there was only a minute or so of new footage. The rest was going into post-production. So I couldn't imagine the actual shape of the new product would be different enough to make it a show if it had been intended as a movie. Now it's apparently back to being a movie. So I'm wondering if they just had trouble in editing. I wonder if there was a struggle to make that flow work, that tone. Either way, we're getting the Snyder Cut. We're getting in March. But on Vero, Snyder did say it is a one-shot. So it is apparently back to being a movie. Time will tell. However Snyder fans get it, I'm sure they're going to be very happy. So the Snyder Cut's happening in March. How? We think a movie, but time will tell. Speaking of movies, the Cherry trailer is absolutely insane. Cherry is a movie starring Tom Holland. It is going to be directed by the Russo brothers. It is produced by Agbo, the Russo brothers production company that is making a lot of really bold films, making very strong entertainment that is completely in a different wheelhouse, and I really like Agbo stuff. They made Extraction. They're taking a lot of really cool chances, and Cherry looks exceptional. I'm a sucker for drug movies. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of war movies. There's a lot of crime movies, but this looks like it's able to blend them all into something new and special. I was really impressed with the trailer. I really am excited to see Tom Holland do something more like his pre-Spider-Man work, as well as playing Spider-Man, but I'm most excited to see the Russos do something grim and gritty, because I love their stuff with Community, and I love their MCU stuff. Now I want to see them make something that's a thriller, that's something outside of that wheelhouse. They obviously produced and one of them wrote Extraction, which is obviously that gritty way, but I want to see more from the Russos. So this really excites me. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, it dropped this week. Look up Cherry, Tom Holland. It looks so good, and it's coming to Apple TV, I think. I know it's got a theatrical run too, but what theaters are open. So coming to theater, and Apple, I think Apple won it in a bidding war. Cherry looks exceptional. I'm very excited. All right, and also speaking of things coming to streaming, Godzilla vs. Kong, how did this happen? This poor movie, this movie that was made for the theater. Like, if there was ever a movie that needed to be seen big, it's Godzilla vs. Kong. If there was ever a movie for an IMAX screen, it's Godzilla vs. Kong, but the fates did not agree, and COVID happened, and now Godzilla vs. Kong is coming to HBO Max. It got moved up from May to March 26th. So this movie was supposed to come out last year. Obviously, it's been done for some time. It got a May release date last year. They moved it up now that it's on streaming. It's less important that it's a summer movie because you're watching it at home. So March 26th, we are getting Godzilla vs. Kong. The footage looks awesome. I'm so excited for this dumb, giant, lumbering mess. I can't wait. The trailer's badass. It's so dumb. I'm so in. Bring me Godzilla vs. Kong. It's gonna be everything I want. I just wish I was seeing it on a 100-foot screen instead of a 60-inch screen. I want more. HBO Max, March 26th. All right, final bit of news before I get into the comic pulls and recommendations. DC Universe, the app that used to house many, many, many of my friends on a show they did called DC Daily, is no more. They are rebranding DC Universe to be DC Universe Infinite, and it's going to house their comics. I was so worried about what was going to happen to all the comics on the DC Universe app. It is a genius app to have shows, movies, conversations, and comics all on one platform. It didn't do well enough, fell apart. It's a real bummer. I'm really hoping they can revisit it at some point. I love the idea of comics on an app right next to the shows and movies and commentary that's right beside it. Like, I was very hopeful. Unfortunately, the app didn't do well enough, so the good news is DC Universe Infinite is going to be the source of all of those comic books and more. You're going to be able to get DC comic books 6 months after they drop on the shelves and 3 months for DC digital first books. And you're going to have tons of backlog stuff. You're going to have Vertigo, you're going to have DC Black Label, you're going to have tons and tons of DC comics all available for a monthly price on DC Universe Infinite. Their press release, it drops on January 21st, by the way, so in 2 days, Thursday, DC Universe Infinite, you can get all these comic books streaming right to your phone. They said, quote, starting at launch, the platform will continuously add selections from DC's iconic labels. Vertigo, DC Black Label, Milestone Media. The platform will also feature new comic releases 6 months after their in-store release, as well as digital first titles 3 months after launch, and brand new comic titles exclusively to the DC Universe Infinite app. So if you were already a subscriber, it's right there. If you're not, it drops on the 21st, and you can get DC Comics sent right to you starting very, very soon. So speaking of comic books, let's dive into what I think you guys should check out available right now. The books that I enjoyed oh so very, very much that came out last week. My top books of last week, the 13th of January, were Future State Dark Detective #1, Homesick Pilots #2, Homesick Pilots, by the way, is this wicked good punk rock title haunted house book. It's like nothing else. It's so fun and different and weird. It's an image book. Immortal Hulk 42, you guys know my thoughts on Immortal Hulk. The Dark Detective book is a brand new jumping on point if you've never read a Batman book or if you haven't in a long time. Brand new continuity. Dark Detective #1 is great. King in Black Thunderbolts #1, a new Thunderbolts book. Kingpin is using the Thunderbolts like he owns the rights to them, so he's assembled a new Thunderbolts team. It's fun. It's in the King in Black world. Marauders #17, the continued adventures of Kate Pryde. I love Jerry Duggan writing the X-Men. It's fantastic. The Resistance Reborns. The Resistance is a great indie from J. Michael Straczynski over at AW Comic Books, a company I didn't even know until recently, that is about a plague, a virus that spreads and kills much of the population, and that sounds scary to read right now, but it also gives some of that population superpowers. But you don't know how it's going to affect you, so it's this very looming dread book with superpowers. It's super topical, and it was written before COVID, and now it's coming out during it. So they had a one-shot called Reborn to come out this week. Also, Seven Secrets #6, Tom Taylor writes the hell out of this book. This is the end of that first arc. Space Bastards #1 from Derek Robertson, artist of the boys, genius, friend of mine, fantastic person. This book is like if Han Solo was rated R and was, it's just a mess. It's like The Boys meets Han Solo. It's so perverse. It's so sci-fi operatic in a weird way. It's heisty. It's great. Highly recommend Space Bastards #1. And then finally, Sword #2. I'm not usually a cosmic book guy, but I am digging this Sword book, and it is brand new from Marvel, easy to access. It's only on issue #2. Obviously, Sword is big in WandaVision. There's a comic coming out right now about Sword. Not a coincidence. All right, the books I recommend you pick up tomorrow on January 20th. My January 20th pulls of the week are Avengers 41. My pull of the week is Batman Catwoman #2. Batman Catwoman #1 was mind-blowingly good. The art, the writing, everything. It's a very prestige quality book. It is wonderful. That's my pull of the week, Batcat 2. We got Black Cat #2, Cable #7, Deceased Dead Planet #7. Then we've got a slew of Future State books. We've got Future State Catwoman, Immortal Wonder Woman, Nightwing, Shazam, Superman Worlds of War. The next Batman 2 are all coming out this week. So we've got 6 brand new Future State books to check out from DC. We've also got Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon #1, King in Black #3, Legion Superheroes #12, Maestro War and Pax #1, The Trade for Pulp, a new Sean Phillips book. The guy that writes Sean Phillips, the guy that writes Criminal, fantastic writer. Artist is back as well. Rorschach #4, Scumbag #4, Sensational Wonder Woman #3, a great all ages title. If your kid likes Wonder Woman, Sensational Wonder Woman is a great pull. Stillwater #5, Chip Zdarsky, guy's a genius. And X-Force #16, the dark side of the X universe, is represented through X-Force #16. Those are my pulls I recommend for you guys. I'm going to check the Streamlabs real quick, and I think that's going to do it for this week. That is all the news that's fit to print, all the stuff that's confirmed. Don't usually go into the rumors and stuff, but the Cap thing got big enough. I thought we should definitely address it, but it seems to be, as of now, rumor. The Ethan Hawke thing seems real, and the Matt Damon thing seems real, so those are the headlines for the week. I am very, very excited. All right. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Much love to the Koi Pond. Go read some comic books. I'm going to dive into all of those books. DC's are out today. Marvel's out tomorrow. I am very excited. Oh, yeah, this is public now. Jesus says they're ending Donny Cates' Venom with Venom 200. That is true. What he's doing next is going to excite you. That's all I'll say. It's going to be great. But yes, Donny Cates is done with Venom on 200. Donny Cates is one of my favorite writers in the game. His crossover is exceptional. Venom has been killing it. Donny Cates is a goddamn genius. His King in Black miniseries is so fucking good. Check out Donny Cates stuff, but his run on Venom does conclude at 200. All right, Joel Rolston. Hey, Coy. This is a stream live from Joel. Hey, Coy. Mentioned you like Robert Sheen in Umbrella Academy. Did you catch him in Misfits with, I do not know how to say that name, Iwan Rheon? That's a cool name. Iwan Rheon a few years ago, just as odd. I've not seen Misfits. I've been told I must. I've been told it's incredible. I've been told that it is very much my kind of content. I have not seen it yet, though. I think it's on Netflix, or when I looked it up 2 years ago, it wasn't streaming anywhere I had access to. I think it's become more readily available, so it's on my list. It's like around 8 or 9 on my list of things to watch. I'm starting The Good Place and Warrior on HBO/Netflix. Those are my new shows that are going to start this month. I'm going to start Warrior on my stationary bike right after this show. So I've not seen The Good Place or Warrior. Those are next. And then after that, I'm going to watch Avatar The Last Airbender, which I've never seen. And Schitt's Creek, I've never seen, are going to be my next 2 short form shows. But check out Misfits on Hulu in all caps. Joel Rolston with the knowledge. On Hulu, I'll be checking out Misfits. It's on my top 10. It's around like 8 of shows I need to check out. So it's up there, and we're not getting out of quarantine anytime soon. So I'm sure I'll get to it this year. So yes, Misfits, Robert Sheen, goddamn genius. I will be checking it out. Thank you, Joel, on Hulu. Much appreciated. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's show. I'm going to be reviewing the insanity that is The Sound of Metal this week for Patreon AJ Lancaster. Also, next week, next Tuesday, a week from today, we're going to be doing a feature-length commentary watch-along of Batman Mask of the Phantasm. So if you want to know my thoughts on Mask of the Phantasm while we watch the whole damn thing, that is happening next Tuesday, thanks to Michael McCarcel. Michael McCarcel is he's the patron saint of watch-alongs, and we're going to be doing Mask of the Phantasm next week. So if you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series, which news broke today, then you got to be a fan of Mask of the Phantasm. It's one of the best Batman movies of all time. We're going to be talking about it next Tuesday, 6 o'clock PST, right after this show, week from today. So check out the review I'm dropping for Sound of Metal this week, and then next week check that out. And before you leave, I did some work with Rotten Tomatoes that I'm super proud of, that I'm really happy with. I love the Rotten Tomatoes folks. I've wanted to work with them for years. I did an episode of Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong about Age of Ultron. I'm not going to tell you what I think of Age of Ultron because I said plenty over there, but go to Rotten Tomatoes podcasts like Spotify, iTunes, wherever the fuck, and also check out on Rotten Tomatoes website Age of Ultron. I did an episode. I'm really proud of it. I want them to have me back. So tweet at Rotten Tomatoes, watch the episode, let them know you enjoy when Coy is at Rotten Tomatoes, because I've got some ideas. I've got some show pitches for Rotten Tomatoes, straight up. Like, I've got some cool stuff I could do with Rotten Tomatoes. So let's get those numbers up. Coy Pond, that's your homework assignment if you choose to accept it. Tweet at Rotten Tomatoes, watch Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong Age of Ultron with this guy. Let them know you like me so I can go get some work over of Rotten Tomatoes, because they're fantastic. All right. Thank you, Coy Pond. I appreciate you. I will see you next week, and I will see you even sooner with reviews and stuff. I think I'm going to do it live. I think I'm going to do the Sound of Metal review live. I've never done a live review, and I think it'd be fun. Actually, I have, but I haven't been doing them live, so I'm going to do this one live. Anyway, I'm babbling. Guys, I'll see you soon. I appreciate you. Stay safe. Stay sane. Read some comics. Hug your family. Pet your cats. Much love. See you soon.